then you must use your system. So I'm already a system person. So but you know, I also came to realize that, you know, hey, can you watch out? You know, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, irrespective of who is pressing the calculator, right? So I came to realize that anybody can also do that, because I'm a teacher, I'm an instructor. I teach people who do not know, you know, anything in computer, and they become computer literate. They now begin to use it, right? So when I came, I saw that this had nothing to do with whether you're a computer professional or not. It just gave me a little edge. Right, but actually anybody can do this. Anybody can come into this. You know, I started, you know, this is just making me barely a month and 2 weeks.
On the platform?
On the platform. And I've made this kind of money, and I'm helping, you know, to teach people the strategy. So it's an awesome experience. I always say this, people who give excuses are always excused from life. You know, people who always complain don't obtain. You can't tell how far you can go until you get started.
Getting started will be joining the mentoring session tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
that is the first step.
That's the first step.
Yes.
Why not SMS the word that we have given to you? You know, because actually this session is supposed to be a paid session. But if your SMS is among the first 50, so if you're there wondering, is it real? Do I come? Why not SMS the word wealth to 070 39118224. SMS the wall. Excuse me. To 070 39118224.
All right then, and of course, once the SMS reservations will be made for them.
Yes.
At least
if you are among the first 50 to SMS the word wealth to that phone number, I call out the phone numbers again: 0703 911 8224, 0703 911 8224. If your SMS is amongst the first 50 we get, you get a free reservation. Now, what anyone can learn, everyone can learn.
On the IML platform, though,
yes.
I mean, I would like to ask, what stands the IML platform out from every other Forex dealing agencies out there?
Mentorship. Mentorship is what helps. It's what has helped me to make my result. Mentorship is what has also helped Nkema Kolam here and every other student on the IML Academy to make their results. Because mentorship is the legal shortcut to success. If you know where you're going, your road is short. If you know how to get there, your road is shorter. But if you have someone that has been there before and is willing to take you by the hand, hey, you're already there. Now, you want to come and learn. You want to be at our mentoring session tomorrow. You want to come so we can take you by the hand literally. Mentorship is what has made the difference for all of us over there at the Wealth Academy.
I think additionally, what also makes us different is the strategies we have. You know, talking about the teacup, this is proprietary to IML. Talking about the wholesale strategy. You know, anybody can know the harmonic scanner, right? But the wholesale strategy is proprietary to IML. We have other ones, the divergence and all of that. You know, we also have the IML TV where you watch, you know, you can imagine watching CNN now and then you're being paid for watching. Who does that? So that's actually what makes IML quite outstanding.
Okay, fascinating. Please, let's hear the numbers one more time before we leave.
Yes, the number to SMS the word wealth to for you to get a free reservation if you are among the first 50 is 0703 911 8224, 0703 911 8224. SMS the word wealth to that phone number, be among the first 50, and you will have a free access to our mentoring session holding tomorrow at Swiss Spirit Hotel, 79 Kens Hariwa Way, former Stadium Road, Elikahia, Port Harcourt. The date is tomorrow, Thursday, the 20th of June, 2019. The time is 11 a.m.
All right, then. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Annie.
All right, and that's it. Stay tuned. Opinion Poll continues.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
The situation is critical. The issues are diverse.
You see, courtesan in quote is the surname of all other criminalities. But this year, courtesan has a new child known as banditry.
I'm sure you are aware that the 6th Division of Nigeria Army is court-martialing some of its officers for being involved in kidnapping.
There is a consciousness that is going on that if you are into this thing, you become a supreme being.
The whole criminality we are seeing, especially as they occur in Rivers State, they revolve around culture.
So what if you are volunteering information to an accomplice?
In seeking a solution, the Today FM Anti-Cultism Summit comes up on the 6th of July, time 9 a.m. Keynote speakers are Amalpu Senibo Bobo Sophie Brown, Professor Chief Andrew Efemini, Retired Colonel Owunda, Professor Austin Sadu, and Ken Henshaw of We the People. Also on the table will be representatives of stakeholders and the various organs of influence that can help deal with the stemming tide of cultism. Keep the date, 6th of July 2019, 9 a.m. Let's fight cultism together.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
You deserve more from us. From Great Talk.
Is it a celebrated feat that people should be dying? Don't we have government? I think that should be the focus and not who is behind it.
And then Chief Loveday.
What else do I say? What else do I say? Killing is killing.
For the attack.
News and entertainment programs.
News update here on Today 95.1 FM. Thank you for listening. Good morning.
TOFFE.
This man knows at least space on.
Now you do this guy thing.
Hi, how you go do this kind of thing now?
You never meet this man. You never know the best way.
Honey, now your brother.
Stay glued to this dial. Today 95.1 FM, and we will do the rest.
Excellent.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
It's 10:33 and we're back on the issue we've been talking about. The Ghanaian pastor who was talking about some sort of national coalition to be formed by political parties within the system and, the security and maybe religious leaders, labor, and that this system is the one that can push us forward because of the pull down syndrome that we have already with political parties. He says this maybe we projected for 25 to 30 years. This system is in place. It will jumpstart everything. You finally get systems working, and then perhaps you can fall back to your political parties or fall back to whatever system you had prior. But that in pulling ourselves out of the situation we are in now, he doesn't see how that is possible without this sort of national coalition. Before we left Emmanuel, you were about to say something that was right after. I know you just chip on that, and he will. I know you want to go somewhere. Fine face. Let him just say what he thinks.
Like OBD man, Dr. Warner, I think I see what that particular pastor is proposing as something that is possible. Because remember, the national conference, even though the Nigerian version of 2014 wasn't democratic for Emmanuel Ndukwe, but at least all the people that disagreed were able to gather together and agree on certain issues. And so when the pastor is talking about that, the coalition, it's not something that will be forced on people. It's something that all the steps will be exhausted until there's a consensus. Yes, let's set up. Remember exactly, this one is going to have the tenet of agreement that it's not this party that has this principle. It's not that one. It is a consensus. If your party man, for instance, is chosen, he is going to do the same thing that another party man will come and do. So I think the ethnicity will not work very much because there is nobody that can, on this earth, remove ethnicity. No. Ethnicity will exist, but a consensus by the ethnic groups is what will drive it forward. And I think if it's possible, but it will take time for it to materialize.
All right then. Okay, we got your thoughts there. Fine, first in a minute.
Yeah,
let's have
this
you.
pastor from heaven, as I see him to be, has brought this message, and I think we need to look into it because a lot of people up till now still believe that Nigeria, like some other countries in Africa, weren't colonized enough. That to an extent, Nigeria still needs some form of military rule that will drive something, because most times the majority of infrastructure we have had in this country, the massive developmental project we have had that we are enjoying till today, majority of them were put in place by the military leaders. So if you have that kind of national system whereby periodic election will be suspended based on constitutional agreement, which is part of the reform that Nigerians are also calling for now, you select someone that will stay there and implement a plan, an agenda that has been reeled out and lined up. Now, when you don't have that kind of agenda, you have haphazard development. Taking Rivers State, for instance, we just point out a few. You are not really comparing the government of the state and those who have had it sway. Now, looking at sometime in 1999 to 2000, you had the Odili government floated something like a train. We saw train move in Port Harcourt for the first time. If that development was part of an agenda and sustained, by today, train would have been linking various parts of Rivers State and opening up, the development sector. Now, the Amechi government came. He also put together this monorail that has become something that both the people at the time never wanted, and because there was no discussion through a national coalition of this nature or state coalition where everybody will agree that this is the development we need at this point in time, it has been abandoned. The same thing happens to some of the fish farm and agricultural projects within the state. Those things have rolled back. But if we have agreed that this is what we want to do, and we put in place those plans, you will see that successive administration will not only maintain those infrastructure, but create more of them, establish more of them based on the plan we have agreed upon. And you see us developing. But as it is today, we don't have that. So I think what he has proposed is something we should give a thought as a people, even if we don't have to dismantle the entire governance structure that we have. But we should have a national plan that the government in power, the president or the governor that is elected at the state level, will fund and implement to drive development and take us to where we should be as a people. Because where we are now we are not going anywhere. People keep telling me that you think Nigeria is going anywhere, it's stagnated. But to an extent, I believe we can move forward by putting together some reforms.
All right, fine, Face to Amendment. Thank you. And I know you have to leave now, but thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Yes,
Annie, you see, like I said earlier, I really don't know that kind of system. China tried a particular system for centuries. It didn't take China to anywhere until 1978.
But we've been trying this one for so long now. It hasn't taken us anywhere. This one we're in now. 20 years, right?
20 years.
It's not
democracy now.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
No, you as you hinted China.
Yeah, because this is the idea of coalition. This system of coalition is a system that cannot take us to anywhere. And China have to now abandon their socialism to do what we call now maybe guided capitalism. And that's what is driving China to where it is. Russia also have dropped their own socialist program. So most of these nations that tried some system that never worked and never benefited their own people for a long time are now coming back to that which fits into a democratic setting. And they are moving forward. Now this proposal now is like bringing us back to the system somehow of communalism, which can only work within an ethnic group, but not in a diverse ethnic group that we have in this country. The issue of the national conference, that the consensus they reach and all those, what happened to those consensus? Who are those who are even pushing for it today? It shows the southern part of the country. The northern part of the country are silent about it. They are not even suggesting it to this present government to run with it. So that has remained the cooler. In the cooler, is it not consensus they reach? Yes, it's easy to reach a consensus. Another is to implement what was reached. Because in the implementation, there could be issues.
You know, I just think that what this means is like a blueprint. It's just the same way here where we say River State has a blueprint and that governments over time, you know, perhaps will work according to the blueprint. And perhaps why some people would say maybe Lagos State has been able to sustain some of the strides they have seen is they have stuck to ideals found from since the Jakonde era going forward about what they wanted to see a Lagos State like. And I think that that is what the pastor is trying to say here. This coalition will be in a form where there is a blueprint. In the next 30 years, this is what we want to see. We want to see this sort of railroad structure from point A to point B, point C. In the next 30 years, we'll have completed that. In the next couple of years or 30 years before the coalition's existence is dismantled, we want to be able to have established that all primary health facilities in every part of Nigeria is functioning at its best. It is for them to set out a path whereby government eventually can continue from. I don't think it is for it to come and take on the system itself.
Yeah, we will have development plans in this country spanning 5 years.
Yes, but that's what we're saying, because
years.
it has always been from a party side. So the next party comes and says it is not my own, I will pull it down. Or the next party comes in and says I was not part of the people who sat down to discuss this, so I'm not going to be part of it.
Yes, excuse me. You see, the problem with the black man is the problem
leave it
of...
with Nigerian man.
No. Yes,
leave it with
I'm
Nigerian
talking
man.
about the black man. Because this is coming from a Ghanaian pastor. Sometimes we sit down here, we think that it is moving well in Ghana. Until now somebody in Ghana is now proposing that this should be done differently. I just listened to the agitation of the Eastern Ghana sometimes, not up to 2 weeks now, over this thing. From independence, the Eastern Ghana is like they are not part of Ghana. That place, they feel marginalized.
The man himself is speaking about what he believes needs to work for Ghana.
Now,
he talked about how NPP and NDC in Ghana are each other's throats.
In Nigeria, the problem we have, did we not try a system that our forefathers, the founders of the modern Nigeria, agreed together? Regionalism or whatever, structuring. Take the resources in your place, control it, and pay certain percentage to it. You have your state. The structure was they agreed, and they put it in the constitution. And they also have regional constitutions. What is it that we don't want to go back to that? That was agreed, that helped this country to move forward that time. That developed, that even the infrastructure we even saw in different regions that time going up, we are no more seeing it today.
You see,
Despite the long years of military rule. I don't subscribe to military regime.
All
I don't subscribe to it.
All right.
So let us go back. We agreed on something. Let us go back to that which we agreed.
Okay. All right.
Obidima, you remember that even that time you had regionalism, the ethnicity was still reigning supreme. And that was why, even as Dr. Warner mentioned the coalition between the MPC and NCNC, what was the result? See, when you are talking about the conference, he said it's not reaching a consensus. Yes, we agree. But then the implementation is still what this pastor is frowning upon because of these divisive tendencies of political parties. Now, the ruling political party and the opposition. That is why it was not implemented. Have you given a thought to that? That is exactly what the pastor is kicking against. But in the event that you remove this kind of party politics and then come to a national consensus with a national agenda, and that is the pivot of the whole thing. It's not as if, for instance, because remember, parties exist because it's parties that will coalesce into this coalition. Now, which one that is ruling, whether PDP or APC or whichever, what it does is a single agenda that is pursuing, and then another one comes after 5 years, will pursue the same agenda. Is it doable? It's left for the country to agree that yes, we are going to practice this kind of thing. But to say that no, it's not possible, I don't think so. And it will not just start with the consensus. There will be roundtable discussions to agree on such.
Let's
so for me, I think it's possible.
Let's take a case of
okay,
APC.
wait. Let's allow Dr. Warner speak first.
Yes,
we'll get back
yes. You see, I think that when you want to solve a problem, you must actually get the root cause of that problem. From what the pastor had just said, it appears political party is the problem. Why we are not moving forward because we belong to different political parties. So face off the political parties and we'll move forward. And I think that's not the real thing. For me, for instance, if you look at...
But is it face off the political parties?
No.
Huh?
Because the coalition is that of a political party.
Yes. No.
You don't face them out.
If you say it's a coalition, like he said they are going to appoint
a president
appoint
from
people
amongst them
who will now form the coalition. And so when it comes to appointment now, then what's the essence of political party? The point I'm making is that it's not relying on the political party as the engine or the driver of development, because maybe it appears to him that political parties, they have a lot of hiccups and impediments and all those rivalries amongst themselves, poor internal party democracy and all that. But you see, you also don't lose sight of the fact that if you look at political parties, for instance, in Nigeria, you realize that these political parties, in the first instance, are manifestations of those divisive factors in our society as a people in Nigeria. You recall, the formation of political parties started as socio-cultural groups. Yes. The Mutanarewa and all those people started it. So it manifested. So the point I'm making is that it's not just the political party that is the problem. But beyond that, we need to look at those things that have put us apart. We need to look at those things that made us to have these divisive tendencies in our society.
Like what? Give me one.
Number one is the fact that, look, we have thrived on ethnicity. We are trying to look at this person as not from, and this is a major factor.
Why have we gotten to that point? Why do we look at this person is from that place and that person is from that? Why did we get to that point?
Yeah, Annie, if you look, for instance, in Nigeria, the political city, you know what happened. There are colonial experience in Nigeria. You know what the role the colonial masters played, which of course has Europa stamped itself trying to infuse these factors in Nigeria.
I disagree.
We are different persons from different...
I disagree.
We are different. Nigeria was imposed on us.
We are different
we
persons.
We don't have time to
but
agree.
The only reason why we continually see that difference and harp on it is because the system is failing us.
Yeah, the system is failing.
If the system is not failing you,
if I can work, reflection of
that's
who
what
we
I'm
are.
saying. If you now have a coalition that is going to make the system work, because the system doesn't recognize color, the system doesn't recognize where you're from, the system doesn't recognize what you speak.
That coalition.
Let me get to a point where I'm saying, if that system can jumpstart things and get you now to have primary school working for everybody, to have your health centers working, if the coalition can get to have that working, you think the ordinary person who can now have access to primary school for his children or her children, or can now go to the hospital, is wondering why the coalition sent in somebody from Yoruba for the last 5 years, and that the next person who came there is also from Yoruba or Southwest or somewhere else? All he's concerned is that thing still happening? This plan that we have here that allows me to have access to all of this, is it still in place?
Annie, that coalition cannot exist in a vacuum. That coalition is a reflection of the existing realities with amongst the people.
And that is why I agree with you that the biggest challenge for that sort of thing will be getting the coalition to even agree in the first place.
Simple.
Simple. That's the beginning.
So
and that's why I say it's not a base
and that is why I said that it's not just talking about coalition. It's talking about those things that can make the coalition to be effective. And that's the point. No. Because if you talk about coalition, and you bring people who don't even see...
hold on, listen. The people who don't see themselves together, regardless who they are, have political parties within them.
Good.
Right?
Good.
The people who don't agree that they see themselves as one another have religious leaders from amongst them.
Good.
And they have labor representatives. Let me even stick with the ones he mentioned.
Yeah.
Right? And if now the labor representatives from the group of people who are feeling marginalized, or the groups of people who are feeling marginalized, can come to a point, and the political party, imagine if Secondus and Oshomole and I don't know, let me throw in other parties, and then they all decided, we now believe that for Nigeria to go forward, that we don't want to be having elections. We want to have this for the next 30 years, where we will break this division of my party is the one doing this because of what you're doing, and let us all find a way we can sit and charter a blueprint for Nigeria. I'm saying that if this can happen, you're not going to find the people from, who are already looking at what's dividing me now. They're looking at what is this platform going to offer us? What will this platform deliver? They're not looking now at saying, is this going to allow me, an Igbo person, have access to power? Or is this going to allow me, a Kanuri person, have access to power? At the moment, is the system going to work? Because regardless whether you're Kanuri or you're Igbo or you're Yoruba or you're Fulani, it's PDP that represents your people from that area that is speaking. It's APC that is representing your people in that area that is speaking. It is your religious leaders. It is your labor that has said, as a group, we have agreed. I'm wondering when now you're going to say, I'm dissenting as a single individual. I'm not going to agree to that. That's why I'm saying I find the challenge will be difficult. If at first we can get these people to understand that this is what we need to do, and they agree to do it, it's the first step to taking off.
Yeah, but Ali, you see, consensus building is part of the democratic process. Okay? That is not in contest. But the point is, you see, before you bring people, like you are talking about what we call constitutional democracy, where the elites of different groups will now have to come together and agree on the way forward. That is understandable. But before they would do that, that's my argument. Before they would do that, there must be underground work preparatory to that kind of coalition you are talking about. Otherwise, it will also amount to nullity, because the basic conditions are not satisfied. You just want people that, okay, we want to come together and let all of us come together. When you don't have that...
But the idea to come together is because you want to fix a rot.
See, Dr. Wona, there's nothing wrong if you want to fix a rot. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Nobody's against that. Okay. But the point I'm making is that, there are fundamental things
for preparation to be made before the convergence.
Which the pastor did not speak about.
No, whether he's... See... The pastor mentioned
consensus.
Yeah.
For a consensus to take place, there must be a background.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making.
All right, open him up.
In a poorer society,
yes,
we have this consensus, even if it is part of democratic ethos, but it is not also easy to reach at a consensus.
But it can be reached.
I say it is likely not.
I heard you, and that's why I asked that question.
Excuse me. One, those people who are reaching a consensus, there are people who also may break out of it to have their own perspective.
All these considerations will be
to have their own perspective. Because one, what governs a nation is a set of rules, a constitution. And that constitution has made provision for political parties and other things. And if a political party decide now to come together for a national developmental agenda, there could also be breakaway of other political parties having their own perspective. Like what happened in APC. There's a coalition of political parties that came together. But did it work properly? It didn't work. So, but they said they had a consensus. It didn't work. So the point there is that let us go back to America. What happened when they started? It was like they started with confederation. It was not moving forward. And a point in 70-something, they had to meet again. Like what we may call a kind of sovereign national conference. They had to meet again in Philadelphia. And they do what? To agree that this system we are running is not moving so forward. And there was this kind of agreement. Yes, we agree. Let us move towards this direction. And they all like, and put it in a document. And since that time, all that America may have done is to amend the constitution. They have not changed the system. The system is running. And
I can't remember who was it. There was someone who was here and he said, there's a problem with Nigeria, though, where we always feel that because we were not part of the people who initiated a certain law, we will never agree to it. Like, we'll never agree to the fact that 10, 15 people sat down and came up with something and said, this is what, because we're going to say, who are we, the people? Who represented me? Was my clan. My clansman, was he there? As long as he was not there, then it can't represent what. And forgetting to look at whether your clansman, your uncle was not part of the people who formed those laws, whether the law empowers you to be the best citizen in a land that appreciates you. We're not looking at that. We're looking at who are the people who sat down and made that. Did they represent me? Who gave them the consent to?
And but that's what we're looking at.
That's what we're looking at. That's what I'm saying. No. That's what I'm saying then. But you already have leaders now. Because I know the biggest hurdle will be for even the APC and PDP to say, we won't be having an election. We want to sit down here and have a coalition. It's going to be the hardest hurdle.
They make a lot of money.
Of course. It's the hardest hurdle. But if they can even agree that is what they want to do going forward, it will happen.
Annie, my contention here is that I don't see coalition as the best option for a society like Nigeria to move forward. Look, if you even look at what's the essence of political parties? Political parties, one of the functions of political party is for interest aggregation, because it will also accommodate different persons from
What is our greatest interest now?
Nation building.
Yes.
Is that not what each party comes to tell you? Yeah. Is there any party that comes and tells you that agriculture is not their focus?
No.
No, hold on. Is there any party?
Is it because it is coming from a party?
That's what I'm saying. It is because
it's coming from a party.
But it is. We have turned it to be the fact that it comes from a party.
Those people who are in the party are also Nigerians.
Is there anything?
Also from the coalition you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Since we all know that we're all saying the same thing, can we now come to a table where we decide that in going forward to deliver to the Nigerian people who need that agriculture, your party is proposing, my party is proposing, his party is proposing, let's get to a table and agree that in pushing agriculture to be the next form of major economic breakthrough for Nigeria, apart from oil, that we're going to be doing this like this, and then come up with a plan adopted by all of us. And then we say, what else again is it? If it's education, this is the platform. Because everybody comes here. I haven't heard any political party who comes and doesn't tell you in your manifesto that education for free for all. And anyone that comes and says health education, they all say the same thing.
Annie, I want to ask the question, what is wrong if Party A has a manifesto, Party B has its own manifesto, Party C has its own manifesto, and you are abreast of what is contained in these different manifestos?
Exactly.
Then you come now you win an election as a party. You are in charge of government. And you now know that there is this agriculture program, this Party A manifesto, why not put them together and run with it?
Because as it is now, because as it is now, no,
in the coalition.
It will be.
No, yes, why is it not? It cannot run with this
because at that time we're no not looking at party. At that point, you're not looking at party anymore. There is no way that I will be of a party.
No. Of Nigerians.
Let us listen to what we're saying. See, there's a ring of uniqueness to this coalition something. And the uniqueness is this, that both APC, PDP using Nigerian system, that none of their agenda will be implemented. But in this party system we are saying, Dr. Warner, you and I know sometimes PDP people will come and APC people will come. Anything at all you mention about the other one, no, it's unacceptable. It's not because it's not. Wait, let him finish. Wait. You see, I don't like this interjection.
Go ahead.
See, once we are seeing it happen, even to the point that we've said it will reach a time that even if in the same family, husband will say, don't put this salt into this food because you bought it from a PDP person, if it belongs to APC. And the wife, the same way, if it's got from an opposing party. But the unique, like I said, everybody, all these the people that stand on their own will agree that no agenda that is especially for this particular political party will drive us forward. And so we are going to have one agenda. And I have said, ethnicity will exist too. But the truth is that since there is, when we talk about marginalization, you can only count about marginalization from that time of takeoff. Because the past should remain in the past. If you agree on one agenda, that PDP person comes in, APC person comes in, after this, the continuous rotation and continuity, I think something will be better.
But remember again, continuity.
Yes, remember again, when for instance, federal government comes and says, we are going to build this number of houses, they will not come on air and tell us the ringer of problems involved in building those houses. Like you were saying about the coalition. They will only mention houses. But you know that there are ringer of processes that are involved in building a house. But in the end, a house will be built.
Yeah.
So, and that is what I am saying. Whatever the pastor couldn't have gone in saying this must happen, that must happen. The truth is that he's talking about coalition, which several processes must take place before the agreement on forming that coalition. It's not in doubt.
Yeah, but you see, my worry here is, when you talked about policies of different political parties, my worry is those policies by these political parties, are they not policies that are people-oriented? Or is it
but
a
they
problem?
Are not implemented.
They are not
implemented.
So the question is issue of implementation, right?
Nah.
So if that is the case, these policies were not implemented because they were formulated on a platform of a political party.
Yes.
Which means there is something naturally bad with political parties.
I tell you, the way they are run in Nigeria. The way they are run in Nigeria.
These political parties, have Nigerians as members. The Nigerians, right?
There's no doubt now. There are no Cameroonians who are indigenous.
So the point I'm making is that political parties are not the problem we have. And so, if they're not the problem, then we should go beyond political parties and go beyond coalition to address those fundamental issues that have plagued us.
No, they cannot be addressed on this altar of sectionalism run by party system.
That's the point I'm
That's
making.
what I'm saying.
When I started talking here, I talked about nationhood.
Good. Remember, because, Dr. Warner, let me just point out this. You know that what you see now is that in some states,
yes,
let's start from home. You see that this administration, if it is PDP, will come and then you see certain agenda set by that government and was in pursuit of it. Of course, time must elapse. If they go, another one comes, maybe of an APC. It will dismantle everything and leave everything about the other previous administration. What is the reason? Not that the agenda and what it will yield as fruit was not in the right way, but just because this one is PDP, that one is APC. We are seeing all these things happening. And when you abandon such problem without continuity, then you find out that instead of pushing that step forward, it will retard its progress.
I see this idea. I still maintain that this idea is utopian.
Well, that's the way you look at it.
Yes, because
it's implementable.
No. In America
it will
today,
take time, I agree.
We have opposition. in America.
And look at what did man mentioned the 1788 of Philadelphia?
Yes.
Good. It was just exactly like that. Once they reached there, they now looked at all the confederation system and all that, and fine-tuned it more or less, something on the mind of coalition. All of them agreed.
Yeah.
Look at the way we move with the federalist papers.
Yeah. Did that take away political parties?
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
It didn't.
So,
the sentiment of those people is more. No. Let's not. That's why some people, and they are positive, and one other person argued that there's something wrong with the black man.
Yes. Yes. That's where I'm going.
That's something wrong.
That's when we bring in these American.
That's why I said we need to address that thing. There's something wrong with blacks.
Because that thing that is wrong with us is the thing that's starting our development.
Exactly. And if you still allow that thing to continue, even the coalition will also not make any improvement. That's the point I'm making.
So the point there is
that always better to at least move forward and find out that you are jerking instead of continuing moving. Yes, because when you say this is a proposal from this particular man, you understand. If it is bought from him and tried, experimented upon, and nothing moves, people will see it.
Yeah, I made a statement here
for
before.
me to agree that it's utopian. I disagree.
No, I made a statement here before that if in a family, there is no way both father, mother, children will reach a consensus that we will cook okazi soup today. Because somebody may not like okazi soup. But the point there is that
the mother cannot even go seeking opinion from her.
Yeah, exactly. This is what they're talking about. So if she cannot go seeking opinion from others, because in seeking that opinion, nothing, little or nothing may happen.
Dr. Warner, you are in the academy.
Excuse
you
me.
Find out that in the academy there are various authorities.
Yeah.
But all of them exist there quietly because each one is following the laid down standard. Okay. It's not like a Nigerian political system. But I am telling you, why are we doing as if we are not seeing it? PDP will never agree with APC. APC will not. It's not that all of them have.
They are not fun to agree with each other. They are not fun to agree.
That is what we are saying. And how do you expect anything?
They may agree in certain areas and disagree in certain areas. But what we are saying is that we have the system. We have the system. Can't we go back to what our forefathers agreed? When they agreed to
what did they agree?
No, excuse me. When they sat, the northern potential and the southern potential agreed to come together. And they now agreed, yes, the two we must be one Nigeria.
Good.
But on this condition.
How one Nigeria
and
have
that condition, excuse me, that condition is that you control your resources, run with your vision, you be at the center, do some certain things, and there was that kind of engendered competition. It's not what we are seeing today. What we are seeing, can't we go back to it? If we go back to it, it will also help in nation building.
I told you, Dr. Warner here, being a political scientist, says that there was a consensus more or less that's between NPC and NCNC. What came off
coalition, not consensus.
Coalition, that's what I mean.
All right.
What came off it?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you much. Thank you very much. The argument has been draining. Thank you so much. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, of course, the phone lines will be open. We'd like you to be part of it. Do you agree that sort of system can pull us out of our doldrums, especially here in Nigeria, and the way we have carried on with vindictive politics here? I mean, I've seen that happen so many times here in the studio, where somebody from a particular political party
runs in his blood.
will refuse to admit that something about that political party was even done right in any form at all, because, well, it's that political party.
And the point we're making, if we still allow that kind of thing to, be in us, that coalition will not also work. That's the point we're making.
There will be agreement that we will allow. I don't know why you
agree with me.
No, how can I agree with you?
Has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
The situation is critical. The issues are diverse. diverse.
You see, courtesan, in quote, is the surname of all other criminalities. But this year, courtesan has a new child known as banditry.
I'm sure you are aware that the 6th Division of Nigeria Army is court-martialing some of its officers for being involved in kidnapping.
There is a consciousness that is going on that if you're into this thing, you become a supreme being.
The whole criminality we are seeing, especially as they occur in River State, they revolve around culture.
So what if you are volunteering information to an accomplice?
In seeking a solution, the Today FM Anti-Cultism Summit comes up on the 6th of July, time 9 a.m. Keynote speakers are Amalpu Senibo Bobo Sophie Brown, Professor Chief Andrew Efemini, Retired Colonel Owunda, Professor Austin Sadden, and Ken Henshaw of We the People. Also on the table will be representatives of stakeholders and the various organs of influence that can help deal with the stemming tide of cultism. Keep the date, 6th of July 2019, 9 a.m. Let's fight cultism together.
Records.
All right, we're back. It's 9 minutes after 11, and we're going straight to the phone lines. We'll expect that our listeners will be part of the remaining shift we have here. We've been talking about this sort of coalition, whether it's a possible way to jumpstart our nation. And remember, it's not as if the parties will disappear. It's the comeback after the coalition has ended its existence. So maybe for the next 20, 30 years to ensure that we're able to move away from the hurdles they come in place. That's what the pastor is talking about. And then after that, yes, you can go back to having your political campaigns where you can call the other person the enemy and the other one can call you the looter. and try and win votes from your people, but at least for some period of time the people might begin to enjoy some of the proceeds that should come from nationhood. I think pretty much sums up what she's trying to say. All right, let's get to have your thoughts now. Do call in 0810-951-0951 or 0817-000951. Those are the numbers for you to dial to get through to us here in the studio. Hello, good morning. Today 95.1 FM.
Hello, Annie. Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is DK Professor.
All right, DK, good to have you. Go ahead.
Okay, my greetings also to your guest. I've been listening to you people as always, especially on the pastor's proposal. I want to agree with Obidima and Dr. Ewoduna that it is utopic in outline. Given the kind of country that we have, it will not work. Even the political party that's supposed to come together as a coalition, what you have is other political blocs that have their own interests to replace the political party. You see, the problem of Nigeria is what Professor Mulumba captures so simply, that those who have political powers do not have ideas, and those who have ideas do not have political power. I think what we should adopt, which is not something by consensus, is a kind of guided dictatorship, where you see a leader that would arise, do things to unify this nation, and later step back as a president. Allow democracy to come in. The head of that government should serve as a prime minister. With that president retaining power to remove such prime minister if he does not do things well for some time. You see, Obidima always take example of China and Malaysia. If you check, it's a kind of dictatorial government. Like in the Malaysian case, almost up to 30 years. And he now tries to internalize values into the people of that country. Ethnicity and religion is a major issue in this country. That through this consensus government, we are not going to have it right. But should we have a competent leader that arises, like even the Buhari, the Avon government for some time, people will forget about ethnicity and try to look at what that government can do for everybody. And over time, people will come together and push ahead. So that is my thinking. I do not think this kind of democracy we're having now will solve Nigerian problems.
All right, then.
Thank you.
We got your thoughts. Thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Annie, my sister, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Dr. Iwuna, yes, my mentor, God will begin my everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Yeah, thank you, sir. Annie, this morning I want to disagree with you. Disagree with Ogaima. It will not see the light of the day. It will never.
No, okay. That's why we said it is agreement, first of all, that is the problem. But do you think that once they agree that it can work?
I agree with you 100 and even 30%. If at all, there is this agreement between all political parties and Nigerians. We are talking about the leadership and the followership. If everybody will agree on that, it will see the light of the day. But in this very Nigeria, Ghana, they have one language. That is the area you people are not pointing out. It might.
They don't have one language, Joe.
No. There's one central language in Ghana that unifies the whole of Ghana.
There's Fanti, there's Ashanti. There are different languages that they speak.
There's something I'm trying to point out here. I said in Ghana, there's one central language. Whether you have different kinds of languages there's one that all Ghanaians normally use anywhere they find themselves. Okay. But here in Nigeria, you have Yoruba, you have Ijo, you have Efik, you have this, you have that. Only that one alone will not allow this to see the light of the day. Look at the national conference. People are telling you it is because of the South-South agenda. So they think against it with the majority. But at the end of the day, even things that they agreed, after the Northerners came out from that very consensus, they even denied. But the videos are there. That is what Odo Bidima and Dr. Iwuna is trying to point out.
All right.
There is no way to see the light of the day in Nigeria. APC that they invited for national conference because it is not their own person. They resist to agree. This is the problem of Nigeria. Go back to that very constitution that bind everybody together, that a particular percentage should be paid to the center. The center is too strong. That is the problem for now. Let's go back and settle that matter before there will be peace. Thank you.
Okay, then. We got your thoughts on this gift. The phone lines are still open, 08109510951 or 081700000951. Hello, Today 95.1 FM.
Annie, good morning. Everybody in the studio, good morning.
Emeka from Owerri, go ahead.
Annie, I said this in your program sometime last year. Nature, apart from the constitution that divided us, nature even divide Nigeria. The nature. The last caller said something that, you see, this is the language issue. Do you know that the moment Buhari or any government in Nigeria make an appointment now, or say anything about individual, the next thing that everybody will thinking, which tribe is he from? The person is about to do anything, whether negative or positive. If you want to do anything with anybody, the next thing they will be thinking, which tribe is he from? Where is he from? That's in nature even divided Nigeria more, backed by even the Nigerian constitution. What will be my say? I understand what he's saying. Nigeria, the kind of Nigeria we find ourselves, we need what we practice before. If it's call it regional, call it state, whatever way. We need the culture. Everything about us is different. Everything about us. We don't have a common culture. We don't have a common.
I've seen so many other countries that have different cultures. It hasn't been the point of focus for them.
But the way Nigeria, I don't think there's anywhere in any country in the world that has up to 250.
That's what I'm saying. They are different. If we're going to go that way, are you going to say that eventually when the people from the southeast perhaps form their own coalition or form whatever they have, that they will not find their own differences within them? There'll finally be a Hamlet who will tell you that we don't say this in the afternoon, this is what we say in the evening. That division exists all the way. The point is that you do not dwell on what divides you, but on what unifies you.
Danny, if you watch well, it is only Nigeria we have. In other part of the nation are talking of moving forward.
That's what I'm telling you. I said the reason why we see what divides us is because the system has failed all of us. That's why I know that you're different and you speak something different, and that's why you don't bend down when you greet and you stand up. It is because the system failed.
Let me
yes, brother.
What I'm saying is, you know, it's in Nigeria. If you look at even the Russian media, they are talking of unity. Other parts of the other country of the world are moving forward. It's exactly 60. We are hitting on unity. That means it simply tells me that.
So does that not mean that national coalition might just be the way to move forward in ensuring that we can get unified, in forming an agenda that works for everybody?
That coalition will never work. The way Nigeria, the way we are.
Okay. All right then.
It cannot work. It cannot work. See,
okay.
When you make hello, Suzanne.
Go ahead, please.
When you say that even in societies, there see the differences. See, even in the family of mother and father and children, there are still differences. But what I'm saying is, when you talk about difference within the same tribe and the difference within tribe and other tribe, it's so difficult.
All right then. Okay, we got your thoughts on that then. Thank you very much, though. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Annie, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Lawson. Good to have you.
Yes, greetings. I greet the gentleman there. See, Annie, let me tell you, some things we should not even contemplate it. Let me tell you, in January 15, 1966, a group of majors in Nigeria from the north, from the west, and from the east came together and decided to carry out a coup. And in that coup, they all agreed that, you understand, all the leaders at the time, 3 regions, in fact, from the 4 regions, should be eliminated. Now, at the end of the leaders in the north were eliminated, leaders in the west were eliminated, some in midwestern region were eliminated. And all the leaders in the east, none was touched. Michael Okpara, Enzo Sadebe, and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not touched. But they did agree that they were going to eliminate all the leaders. You understand? That is just army officers who agreed. So let me, even if everybody come together agreed, yeah, just as Gift is saying, that we're into it, I am telling you it will be scuttled. So when we talk about Nigeria, honestly, I don't know how we have managed to still remain together as you understand till today. I don't know, but what I'm telling you is that some things there is no need to even contemplate it because it will not work. Thank you.
Okay, then look. So we got your thoughts too. Thank you very much. Hello. Yes.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Annie.
Good morning. Good to have you.
My name is Samu Chima, calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Annie, that correlation will not work based on the language, Nigerian language. Now, Annie, something happened in the Genesis chapter 11. It's regarding the story of Tower of Babel. When the children of Israel came together, they were trying to erect a tower that will lead them to see God. Now, if we are speaking one language, they were together, you can see the resilient spirit among each of them. Now, if not God was God, God wouldn't have stopped them. God had to confine their so they were able to stop. They were able to be stopped. So I think language is the major issue here, Annie. Now, in Nigeria, there is a spirit that we have, or a spirit of business. You understand? Now, that also can make it not to work, because Nigerian man is never be sustained on anything at all. So Nigerians are greedy, so it can never work at all. Language is the major issue here. This one will say, oh, this one is not hearing what this one is saying. This one is not hearing what this one is saying. So I think language here is the major issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We got your thoughts too. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Morning.
Hello, Annie.
Yes, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My brother, good morning.
Morning, Ivy.
Okay, it's ID.
Yes,
ID. He must be calling from a different place.
My sister, good morning.
Morning.
And the guest in the studio.
Thank you.
You see, coalition will not work. It's a very simple truth. Some persons have come to the realization that they are they have more population more than the other. And they believe that even though whatever corner they go in electing any leader, their population will submerge other population. So if you talk of bringing a coalition, it will not work. I could remember in one of the parrot newspaper, that was in 1956. Muhammad, Atafawa Balewa and Muhammad made a statement, very categorical, that we will not allow the West to rule us. That is a statement made by a Northerner. Now, they are still actualizing that statement up to this very moment. So if you bring a kind of a coalition that whereby a political party will bring this and a political party will bring that, it will not work because some persons believe that they have the power to muster the majority. That is the simple truth. So there is no need of us coming to say this. The only thing I just want the Nigerian to do is just to sit, even right from the Bible, the people sit and discuss a way forward. They will sit all together and say, okay, what do we do now? Do we go on revenue allocation, or do we go on regional control, or what? In what one way that we will sit and discuss, except we sit like a national conference and discuss our differences and have a common front. For that alone, we can have a midway. But for now, don't try that coalition. It will not work. It will scatter. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. We got your thoughts too on that. All right, we'll see if we can take just one or two more calls and we've got to wrap it up. Today, 95.1 FM's number is 0810-9510951 or 081700000951. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Yes, good morning.
Anna, good morning.
Good morning, what's your name?
Mascot, calling from Port Harcourt.
Mascot from Port Harcourt, go ahead.
Yeah. You see that you at the time you were laughing, in the studio. And as well, I was laughing outside here because that coalition will never work. It will never work because of the type of Nigeria we could find ourselves. The only solution we have is not to hear the destruction. Why these people shout the destruction? Is that like the last caller said, a certain group of people have noticed that they are more in number than the other. So the only panacea for peace, for political peace and political justice and equity in this country is for us to ensure that it is enshrined in the Constitution to presidential rotation among the 6 geopolitical zones. Make it a constitutional matter. If maybe starting from southeast or southwest and it will go to the other so that all the political parties will pick their candidates from that geopolitical zone that gets the slot.
Yeah. I think what the man was particular about was that there is a set agenda that must be endorsed by all political parties for the next couple of years, 25 or 30, because he says after each time a new government comes on board, there isn't continuity. They always pull down the last government, and that stagnates growth. So in order to ensure that for the next 30 years or 25 years, you're on a system that can get you to at least starting points, because where we are, we need to even get to starting points, is have that kind of... Okay, good.
It will not work. We are all the who are the political leaders? Those of them that have deceived us since 1960. Look at the country, a great country like Nigeria. We have everything and still we lack everything. Who are the leaders? Who will constitute those leaders will come together, come on board to come and say, look at this one is the president, this one is the vice president. What we need now is a new generational change, generational power shift. Because this set of leaders have deceived us.
This generational power shift is how do you propose that happens?
Yeah, that generational power shift is when you can even make it, but it is very difficult because the idea at the National Assembly, so that anybody that has held office since 1960, because of the decadence we have faced in all facets of our national life, in all ramifications of our national life, they will make it even as an act of the National Assembly. But who is going to sign it? That those that have held office in 1960 should be at a bias for the new people to come up and test one.
What makes you think the new people will do any better? We have seen a crop of new people who are doing the same thing.
Because I see since we have tested this old generation and they have not performed, let us see the new ones.
Okay.
They will engender new vibes.
All right, then.
And we need young people that will bring new inspiration. You know, new.
Thank you very much. We got your thoughts, though. When I hear people say young people, I say we have young people, except you're asking for, maybe you're looking for a 22, 23-year-old person. But we've seen a crop of young people established in and they have shamed quite a number of us. So what really do we mean when we say young people? I have even spoken to a few young people who are interested in certain positions and on the level of confidence told me, no, it's not as if we're not going to really do this or that, but you know, and these are young people. Let's go. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Mrs. Sani and Ogema.
Yes, please, what's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Chris O'Chris. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Go ahead, Chris O'Chris.
Yeah, like everybody's saying that this coalition it will not work. And in my own opinion, I have reason what is happening. It will not work. You know why? For example, now, some people in this country see me not a Nigerian. They didn't see me as a Nigerian, say. Even me, as you see me here, I didn't even know if my opinion even counts as a Nigerian because for over how many times now, what we have been saying on this platform, I don't think they are taking it. And there's some set of people, and there's somebody read the history that happened since 1950 something, that some group of people came and gathered that they would do this, and the group of people bring their own, why the other people did not bring. And you know that was the reason why some set of people from Southeast have been treating as if they are slaves, as if they conquered them. And my question is this: since I was in primary school, from nursery school, that I started hearing that Igbo will be the president. When you see next election, you will hear Igbo man is going to be the president of this country. See, now I'm getting to 35 years. No Igbo president in Nigeria, where you are preaching one Nigeria. So I started asking myself, and tomorrow I will start teaching my children. This is what, if my children ask me tomorrow, Daddy, you are people rule this country, what will I say? Would I tell them yes?
Okay. No, all right, thank you very much. You see, the very reason why we have mentioned this, that it has always been, has my people ruled. And the essence of having my people rule is because we wanted to bequeath ourselves some sort of wealth or some sort of access to the government that works. And I keep saying that if the government works for everybody, you will not be interested in whether your people rule or not, because everything is accessible to you no matter where you're from. But the idea is getting to that point first. How do we get there? And for me, and I agree with them when they first said political parties might not agree to it, I think it's the biggest hurdle for them to even agree that they are going to collapse whatever structures they have that divides them for that couple of years and agree on one circular blueprint and say this is how it will run when the other party feels superior to the other. It might be a difficult task to get, but there must be a way to propose Nigeria moves forward other than this, because I see this a system that we have now where after the next 4 years, the next election, we begin to call I've been in this studio, Emmanuel, and I've heard the names they called each other. We've read it from papers, we've heard it from interviews, and it is not a name that I'm not even part of the party, but I can't wake up from it and forget it. I can't forget you called this group that. I can't forget that you said this particular person is of this shade of color, or his heart is like this, or his intentions are like that. It's not something I easily forget. And because you said that, I might begin to look at certain actions he takes and say, does he pretend somebody who comes from the great beyond? Is he, and it has become part of our politic, and we think that's how to politic. We have to pull you down, destroy you in the most annoying manner, because we think that we have the answers to the problem. And when we check the manifestos, you want to do roads, you want to do agriculture. It's the same thing here. They want to do roads. I've not seen anybody who says, my own is that I don't even want to do anything, I just want to go to the moon. So put me as president, or that is what my agenda is, getting Nigeria to the... Then we'll know that this is why you really think you need to be here, because you're so different. Everybody's the same. And I guess that's why cross-carpeting is also easy for them. They wake up one morning, they're APC, the next night they wake up, they're in PDP. It doesn't change anything because all parties want the same thing. So can we get to that point? That's the consensus, I guess. We've got to go. It's okay. All right, Obidima, let me hear from you, please. Let's go.
Well, I said that for Nigeria, the best thing for us is to go to the basis so that we can develop this country. Not the kind of coalition of the type we have read in this studio, because it can never move forward. It's like a goat that is owned by more than one or two persons. That goat will be starving because the other person will be looking at that goat, the other person to feed the goat. The other person will be looking at, and at last, the goat is not eating. Let each political party come up with its own blueprint and run with it. If there's anything that is good in another party's manifesto, pick it up there and run with it for not just the interest of that political party, but for the overall interest of Nigerians. And you will see that Nigeria will move forward. Other countries, civilized democracies, have tried it and they are moving forward. There's nothing wrong for us to try that process, and it will do well with us, not the kind of coalition that is being proposed.
Okay, Obidima, thank you so much. We got your thoughts on that. Obidima is JP, journalist and public affairs analyst. Dr. Emmanuel Wona.
Yeah, it's axiomatic that no two persons are exactly the same. And by extension, no two societies are exactly the same. So you have our differences. But we can only come together if we imbibe and demonstrate the spirit of nationhood. And that can only be exemplified through the states and its institutions. And it's also important that we should, as a people, try to restructure our mindset and also restructure the political system. Because you cannot afford to have people come together when injustice is enshrined in the political system. So until we begin to eliminate those injustices and those structural inequities in our political system, we may not make a way forward.
Thank